Welcome to Hero Villains. Who do you think would win, Omega Beyonder from Marvel or Michael from DC? Omega Beyonder is a super reality being in Marvel, far beyond the limits of a normal multiverse. He has been described as a living dimension that can think, possessing infinite level reality manipulation. Beyonder can bend physics, erase or create new universes with a single thought. His power has made the Infinity Gauntlet, the Living Tribunal, and other abstract entities cautious. With the ability to control energy, time, and the nature of existence, Beyonder is considered one of the closest forms to the concept of omnipotence in Marvel. Michael Demiurgos from DC is one of the two primordial beings created by the Creator, forming the foundation of all life, along with Lucifer. Michael carries within him the power of creation, viewed as the original source of life for all of existence. When he releases his true power, he can form a new multiverse and wipe out any form of existence with sheer willpower. His power is not simply destruction, but the ability to build reality from nothing, turning thought into complete cosmic structure. A battle between Beyonder and Michael would be a clash between infinite destructive creation and divine creation, a conflict strong enough to shake every universe. Before we dive deeper into the analysis, please remember to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you all very much. I choose to call him Omega Beyonder to avoid confusion with other Beyonders in the multiverse. Defenders Beyond Issue 2 shows that in his first appearance he was only an infant, existing within the vastness of infinity without any clear awareness of his place or importance. However, that immaturity never reduced his power. A childlike being with strength that touches every limit is a paradox that makes people shiver when imagining the true potential sleeping inside that form. Many people often separate pre-retcon Beyonder from Omega Beyonder, but in truth, these two names describe the same being. The only difference lies in awareness. The earlier version was more naive, not understanding his own nature, not recognizing the difference between himself and other Beyonders, or the Ivory Kings who existed alongside him, as if each side was its own sphere of light within the endless darkness of the universe. When mentioning Omega Beyonder, he is a being who lives in a place with countless names. Some call it the far shore, others call it outside or beyond. No matter the name, its nature remains an outer cosmic realm. People often compare it to the Void or the Overvoid of DC, but no, these concepts are not the same. The Void is only a small part within the Overvoid, a space created to serve the idea of creation, while the place of Omega Beyonder extends far beyond those definitions, where all rules become meaningless and existence floats like an unfinished thought. That vague presence makes Omega Beyonder both mysterious and terrifying, a power beyond the imagination of anyone daring to observe it. When a being's inner nature is complex enough to encompass every possibility of existence, a single self-contained universe can still rise far above in strength, scale, and influence. In Crisis on Infinite Earths, there was a moment when the entire infinite multiverse seemed to collapse into one single reality. But in Infinite Crisis, the truth became clear. Like light tearing through darkness, that multiverse never disappeared. It was as if countless worlds had been forced into a single pinpoint. This can be compared to the earliest moment of our universe, when all space and time existed within a burning singular point, where energy and dimensions had not yet separated into distinct forms. Before the multiverse expanded and spread, there existed a primordial cosmic form known as the first firmament, or the first cosmos, a time when all creative potential and life remained in a dormant state. The Beyonder, and those like him, did not appear randomly in the endless void. They were formed by the creative hands of the Celestials, the great cosmic forgers, and like all powerful entities, including eternity and the Living Tribunal, they must all originate from a more distant beginning, something far beyond what limited minds can fully describe. The Beyonders were created to become Omega-level beings who carried nearly limitless potential. Although they sometimes have certain system-based limitations, their nature still surpasses most power levels in the multiverse. They stand on the edge of reality, watching the universe swirl below like someone observing an eternal clock, while the Onyx Kings intervene and operate everything from within the structure of existence. Among all the power sources that have ever appeared, the Beyonder is almost always at the highest position. Only Molecule Man can oppose them, but the truth is something that leaves many speechless. Molecule Man was not born by chance or naturally strong enough to match them. He was created by the Beyonders themselves as a safeguard key. A programmed core meant to become a switch capable of destroying the multiverse, a Beyonder is an unquestionable authority. Even when the Phoenix Force splits into countless M-bodies, they are still not enough to concern him. But the superiority is not eternal. When entering the Far Shore, a place considered the equivalent of the Overvoid in the system, it is there that the overwhelming power of the Beyonder must obey the laws of the realm he stands in, like a god forced to bow to principles older than himself. Take the White Hot Room as an example. There, the Beyonder is significantly limited because that is the domain of the flame of creation itself, and, on a metaphysical level, the very page on which stories are formed. When discussing a power that can completely crush every other force in the Marvel multiverse, the answer is unquestionably Omega Beyonder. Even Jean Grey, after fully ascending as the true Phoenix, was only invited by Eternity to join the group of conceptual entities that form the multiverse, while Omega Beyonder exists far beyond all of them. I truly hope you will subscribe to the channel. It helps us greatly, and you are the best. Thank you so much. Michael Demiurgos in the DC Vertigo system is seen as the source that gave rise to the first two universes, while Lucifer served as the sculptor, the one who shaped and breathed life into that creation. The two names seem to be the foundation of all beginnings, yet the words of the presence reveal a far deeper truth. He does not need Michael, nor does he need Lucifer, because both are only pieces in the grand picture that he alone paints. For Michael and Lucifer to become who they are, he had to create all the other angels as the environment for their growth. Lucifer once crossed the void not through overwhelming power, but with a passage letter granted directly by the presence. He understood that to confront the silent God, a place where power seems stripped away, what matters is not force but choosing the right path in the right self. That void is the only realm where the presence holds no authority, like one dark region untouched by the light of creation. Lucifer stepping across that boundary is like a traveler wandering into the edge of reality, a place where every law trembles like a fragile veil before the wind. That moment made all of heaven fall silent. Not because he won through strength, but because he affirmed the essence of freedom, will, and choice. The presence in DC Vertigo is often viewed as the peak of divine power, but in truth his role is not as omnipotent as many believe. There are realms where his power cannot reach, most notably the universe that Lucifer created. When Lucifer wrote the name Yahweh into the foundational structure of that universe, he unintentionally made it untouchable. To destroy it, Yahweh would have to destroy his own existence, something almost unimaginable. From this, even the creator has certain limits within the seemingly boundless sphere of creation. Michael, the heavenly champion born with terrifying power, is another example of the complexity of divine force. His strength depends entirely on the presence, yet even when empowered by that primordial source, Michael's still lost to Lucifer, who possesses no divine energy like he does. Michael is truly powerful, the greatest angel in the ranks, but that does not mean he is the most effective. His power is like an untamed storm, blazing fiercely, but lacking the strategy and sharp precision that Lucifer always controls. The battle for heaven reflects this clearly. Michael struck thunder upon the rebellious host, destroying countless angels with the raw primordial power rushing from his wings of light. But within that chaotic battlefield, a single moment of vulnerability changed everything. Sandalphon, silent as shadow behind him, pierced Michael's back with the sacred spear. The mighty angel shattered upon the holy ground and was imprisoned in suffering for millennia. A god who could command an entire universe could still fall from a single hidden strike. Power alone does not always decide victory. It is wisdom, cunning, and the ability to see through every layer of deception in existence. A harsh but undeniable truth. When Perpetua still held the full power granted by the source, the one chosen to strip that power away was not Michael or any angel in heaven. That task fell to the Raptor, who carried the burden of restoring the multiverse and cleaning up the aftermath of cosmic chaos. The void is only a small fragment within the domain of the overvoid, like a faint shimmer inside an endless white sea. And when the darkest night claimed the full power, strong enough to destroy the entire hand of the source, the vaults of heaven could only watch in silence. None of them had the ability or authority to step onto the battlefield. Every angel was helpless before the catastrophe swallowing creation. Perpetua at that time, even after being drained of much of her power, remained a terrifying threat, and even the light of heaven could not save anyone. The peak of this cosmic nightmare occurred when the darkest night spread his black wings and burned burned hypertime. Not just a single timeline, but countless realities from universal level to the entire multiverse were burned away like paper and fire. It felt as if all existence shrank with a faint cracking sound before vanishing into absolute darkness. And sometimes the fate of the universe lies in the hands of those who do not carry any wings at all. Omega Beyonder and Michael Demiurgos are like two opposing poles of cosmic power. One is a being who, with a single thought, can wipe out the greatest forces of the multiverse without effort. The other is the mighty angel of the presence, yet he is constantly overshadowed during the most monumental cosmic events. Michael has never been the one standing at the top, not even the one holding the supreme authority in his own system, let alone someone who could compare to a power said to surpass every other multiversal system by millions of times. When Infinite Crisis ended and the layers of reality were torn apart, the one who stepped forward to purify and rebuild everything was not Michael. It was the World Forger, the maker of worlds, who plunged into the chasm of chaos to assemble a new multiversal structure. He worked like a builder in a stormy night, silently shaping each fragment of reality while the Presence raged at the League for allowing Perpetua to unleash disaster and forcing him to recreate creation once again. Beyonder draws power from the far shore, from the beyond, a realm that does not depend on any multiverse we know. That strength exists unchanged, like a flame burning in a vacuum that cannot be extinguished by the collapse of any reality. Michael, although he carries the fire of creation within his heart, lives solely through the supreme will of the Presence. If that presence were to withdraw from creation, all angels would fall instantly, like stars fading when the night sky has no one left to look up at them. A being who stands outside all limits versus an angel whose power is borrowed. One who does not need the universe to exist, and one who loses everything if the universe no longer has a master. Two paths, two destinies. When the presence left the universe, Lucifer and Michael suddenly became unusually fragile. Two colossal titans emerged like an unstoppable nightmare, and neither the archangels nor the exiled king could launch a counterattack strong enough to resist them. Their divine power depended entirely on the existence of the Supreme Being, so the moment that source was lost, they were no different from dull blades, radiant but powerless. If Mazagin had not cast her spell in time to bend the strength of the Titans, both Michael and Lucifer would have vanished, like ashes drifting into the void. Even more frightening, the Titans created a dark Lucifer, a version more powerful than the original. He grew stronger by absorbing Titan energy, while the true Lucifer slowly withered like a dying flame. Within this scene, Omega Beyonder stands out as a paradox. He was born from celestial design, yet he is fully capable of erasing the very creators of his existence without suffering any harm. If the same situation happened to Michael, the moment the presence ceased to exist, all of his power would collapse immediately like a stone pillar losing its foundation. Omega Beyonder can stand firm even when everything around him dissolves, while Michael's power is bound to the source he can never escape. In terms of self-sustaining energy and the ability to exist independently, Omega Beyonder is clearly far beyond that revered archangel. Omega Beyonder stands on a level of power that surpasses all conventional limits, to the point that he can destroy death itself, the abstract divine concept tied to the end of all life. This is something neither Lucifer nor Michael has ever been able to fully accomplish. If the two archangels were to confront Death of the Endless, they could only push her back or erase her temporarily until she was reborn through a new host. The essence of death does not rely on a physical form, but is an idea greater than matter or divinity. Yet, a paradox emerges with Lex Luthor, a mortal who possesses the power of a zone child. He achieved what Michael and Lucifer could not. Lex completely stopped death, forcing her to admit that this was the first time she had felt free since the very beginning of creation. Lex's power is enough to crush the multiverse, expanding to the point that even the two archangels seem small, yet before Omega Beyond, that power is only a drop falling into a bottomless ocean. Beyonder possesses feats made manifest, real accomplishments recorded in cosmic history, and he has steadily proven his place through undeniable power. Meanwhile, Michael, despite bearing the title of Demiurgos, lacks the supporting feats and clear demonstrations of creation-level strength. One being has reached the boundary of death itself and erased it from existence, while the other can only watch it return. And Omega Beyonder becomes the victor. I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Follow me if you like. That is the video for today. Thank you very much.